Hello, everybody, and welcome to 38 Weeks to Go, your weekly podcast about fantasy football. I am your host, Nash, and let's get into it. How was Gameweek 2 for you? For me, it was a not complete, but it was a disaster. It would have been a complete disaster if Everton did not do what they did. I had Pickford NDI, and if it wasn't for those guys, goodness, I think I would have been under 30. How about you? Are you already feeling the fun of fantasy? With an average of 51 points. If you did not get 51, I'm sorry for you. If you did, well done. Keep it up. The thing that frustrated me the most about this game week was the number one player in the world, who happens to be a Kenyan, which is rare. So congratulations to you, sir. I don't usually start off the podcast this way, but this one was a bit frustrating. Kind of like last week. Somebody triple captain Ballard, and of course a bunch of you brought in Ballard. He got injured after 9 minutes. I am so sorry for you. That must be so frustrating. But this guy, how the hell do you triple captain Timber? As in triple captain. While all of us, well, not all of us, me and my friends, we captained Haaland for mighty 2 points, forgetting that Pep doesn't do well against Spurs. I thought it'd be new season, new him, but clearly, no. It's new season, same him. Just like us. New season, same us. Making the same decisions, expecting different results. Insanity. That's what it is called. So, just like Ballard, what else did we do? We all brought in Rangers. And then what did he do? Nothing. And if this is your first time playing fantasy, welcome to the game. Fantasy is back. People just scam you. If you're a Salah captainer, well, you must be happy with the returns, but also worried. Liverpool don't look the same. I mean, they're still as effective as they have been, but nothing is flowing through Salah. Everything is coming through the left side. How long will the Salah captainers last? You bring in Saka, you bring in Odegaard, they both get injured. You bring in Nouri for Frimpong, he gets injured. Maybe you brought in Cole Palmer after, I don't know why, maybe you just brought him in now, he gets injured. For all of you thousands who removed Joao Pedro, how are you feeling now? For those of you who had Wan-Bissaka in your lineup, I'm so sorry. For those who went into Haaland, that's an expensive blank. For those of us waiting for Watkins and Morgan Rogers to wake up, it's painful. For those of us who moved into Sunderland thinking that we have a new, undervalued team, that's fantasy for you. It just doesn't make any sense. For those of us who thought, let me not get into Arsenal because they have a tough run of fixtures, though Leeds is going to be easy. That's so painful. We didn't realize how easy Leeds would be. For those who believed in the Forest clean sheet, I'm so sorry. For the Man U fans, I'm just sorry. You know, your team looks better than it did last season, but the results are just not coming. You have the unluckiness of relegation favourites. Not that you'll get relegated, but you know what I mean. I guess it's the opposite of the lack of champions, where you kind of perform and you get the result. But this one is like, you do well and nothing's happening. Moving into the fixtures, the highest scoring game of the weekend was Chelsea 5, West Ham 1. Now, it's so weird because I don't know. Well, the truth is, West Ham look horrible. And if you're one of those people who likes to bet against relegation favorites, bet against West Ham. They might figure it out, they might not. But so far, they played a relegation favorite in Sunderland and looked horrible. They played against Chelsea, and this game was so bad I stopped watching it. And to make it worse, they scored first. Paqueta scored a beautiful goal. Probably goal of the weekend if it's not for Ghana. I think Ghana's goal for Everton was pretty decent as well. Paqueta opened the scoring, and then Chaleba, Neto, Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and Joao Pedro scored. Joao Pedro had 2 assists. Correa had 1. I was very happy because he was my Frimpong replacement. Enzo Fernandez had an assist, and Estevao had an assist, and he missed a chance. He could be somebody undervalued, but honestly, the real thing is, if you had Mr. Cole Palmer, who was your vice captain? Moving forward, it was interesting to see Joao Pedro play in the Cole Palmer role because he provided the assists, he managed to score, he looked really good. Neto looked dangerous, and Estevao looked dangerous. And honestly, moving forward until we know what Palmer has, that is probably the best choices from Chelsea. Joao Pedro got the 3 bonus points, Paqueta got 2, and Caicedo got 1. I would say the biggest disappointment of the game week is the Manchester City game, where Man City lost 2-0 to Spurs, mainly because after the first game, you started to believe in them. And then now it just looks like same old Man City, new season, same nonsense. They don't look like they've learned from last season. But I would say give it some time because they tend to, even at their best season, Spurs gave them trouble. So it seems like no matter what, just a team called Spurs will give them trouble. Even if the manager has changed, even if the players are different, it's probably a mental thing. I know others would like Man U to be the disappointment of the week, but honestly, it's just the same stuff of last season. They have not proven yet that they are better than last season. They've started with a loss and a draw. Even though their performance is better, it has not translated into results that are better. The marquee game saw a very intense matchup between Liverpool and Newcastle. This game was very entertaining. You could see that Newcastle really wanted to give Liverpool the business, but it just wasn't meant to be. However, with 10 men coming back and equalizing, that was very impressive. If I was a Newcastle fan, I'd be very hyped on that performance. 10 men and taking Liverpool up to the death to score a last-minute winner. With 10 men, that's quite impressive. Gordon was really, really fired up for this game. And honestly, if he was more composed, he would have scored at least 1 goal. He got the red card and will be suspended for 3 games. So if you have him, this might be time to get off him. This also means it could be time for Jacob Murphy to make a comeback. For me, I don't understand why he hasn't been playing. He was honestly their best midfielder last season. Maybe this will give him a chance and force Gordon and Barnes to do a rotation. Osula scored a good goal and it looks like, I don't know, they might have a solution to Isak. Maybe. Time will tell. Watching Liverpool made me fear for Salah. I have Salah. I didn't captain him because of my fears from the first game. They were still confirmed in the second game in that the game doesn't seem to be going through him. I'm not sure if it's because Mr. Trent Alexander-Arnold is not there, but there's a problem with the right side. Of course, Frimpong will be back around September 14, and that might change things. But for now, honestly, he seems to be just getting a return based on his name only. Like, goodness, it's just scary to watch this. Honestly, having watched this game, I am more convinced now that the right pairing to have is Ekitike and Gakpo. Gravenberch scored his first goal for nearly 2 seasons. Ekitike and then Guimaraes and Osula scored. Gakpo had 2 assists and Salah had the assist for the final goal from Gumoja. And then Pope had an assist and Livramento had an assist for Newcastle. Newcastle really put up a spirited performance. Ekitike got the 3 bonus points, Gakpo had 2, and Gravenberch had 1. Looking at the top performers of the game week, starting in goal, the number 1 goalkeeper was Pickford. He had 15 points. Number 2 was Vicario, who had 9, followed by Raya, Dubravka, Petrovic, who all had 6. And those are the top 5 performing goalkeepers. It's not too often that we have a top performing player be a defender. But this week, we had Timber, who had 24 points. And for you bastard who triple captained him, just tell us the truth. You're a time traveler. Anyway, Calafiori had 13, Diakite had 10, Hayonde had 10, and in 5th place, it's a 3-way tie between Ekdal, Senesi, and Collins, who all had 9. In midfield, the top performer had 14 points, and his name is Cullen from Burnley. I'm going to read every player who got 10 or above. Anthony from Burnley got 13. Ouattara, who's moved from Bournemouth to Brentford, scored on his debut. He has 13. Tavernier has 11. Grealish has 11. Pellinia has 11. Enzo has 10. Ghana has 10. Gakpo and Hudson-Odoi have 10. So a similar pattern is showing itself early. Midfield is king. This week, top was very meh. Joao Pedro, top with 15 points. Gyökeres gets off this mark and he has 12 points. Ekitike continues his good run, he has 9. Osula has 5. And Richarlison has 4. Wanna feel old? And this match day, this was the first goal by by a player born after the 2008-9 season. Basically, Riongo Moha, who was born in August 08, and Max Dalman, who became the first player to be born after the start of the 09-10 season. He was born in December 2009. Liverpool are the first side to win both of the opening 2 games of a top-flight season despite conceding 2 goals in each match. The last team to do this was Newcastle in 1960-61 with their last-minute victory. Liverpool have won more Premier League games via last-minute goals than any other side in the history of the competition. Their latest being number 46. Arsenal are in second place with 34. Tottenham and Manchester United are tied with 32. With his last-minute goal, Gumoha becomes the second 16-year-old to score a winning goal in a Premier League game after Wayne Rooney did it in October 2002 versus Arsenal. He is 1 day older than Rooney was when he scored. 1 day. He is 16 years, 361 days. Rooney was 16 years, 360 days. If he ends up having a career anywhere near Rooney's, that would be amazing for him. Which then begs a question. Differential? In the Liverpool-Newcastle game, there were 19 fouls in the first half of the game. So far, that is the most this season. There have only been 2 games, so it might not be saying much. Liverpool have found the net in 39 out of 40 games that Slot has taken over. That is a 98% conversion rate, or rather a 98% result. Newcastle have now gone 17 games without defeating Liverpool. Ruben Amorim now has a Premier League win percentage of 24.1%, 7 wins in 29 games, the exact same percentage as Neil Warnock, who won 27 of 112 games, who was twice relegated. Is it time to worry? I don't think so. I see improvement in Manchester United, but these stats are fun for now. Since the start of April, Manchester United have won fewer points than all other ever-present Premier League clubs, 6. And Leicester City, who now play in the Championship, have more league points than they have in that time, 8. Should you be concerned? Not yet. Man United have now gone 29 games without scoring in the first half. So if you're a gambler, bet on Manchester United not to score in the first half. Jack Grealish had a standout performance this game week. And honestly, if you were to bring him in, you might be fine. He had 2 assists, and that is as many as he managed across the 23-24 and the 24-25 campaign for Manchester City. He had 2 assists in 40 games. Wow. Diaye scored for Everton. Their first goal at their new stadium, which is called the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Goodison Park is over. He was also the person who scored the last goal at Goodison Park. So the last goal at Goodison Park and the first goal at Hill Dickinson. He's going down in Everton trivia for forever. He will never be forgotten. Never. And speaking about some history, now the Hill Dickinson Stadium was the 62nd different venue that has held a Premier League match. Max Dalman came on at the age of 15 years and 235 days. I think Yamal has just set a bad precedent. Dalman is good, don't get me wrong. I just think that maybe we're rushing some of these guys. Now, the other 2 people to do it before him were his teammate Ethan Nwaneri and Monga for Leicester. So imagine in 10 years, they'll be 25. Goodness. With the Spurs' victory over Manchester City, Mr. Thomas Frank becomes the 3rd manager to beat Pep Guardiola away from home in the league with 2 different clubs. After Jose Mourinho did it with Real Madrid and Man United, and Conte did it with Chelsea and Tottenham. That is great company. Spurs are only the 2nd side to beat Pep Guardiola in back-to-back league seasons after Manchester United did the same in 2019-20 and 2021. They are their bogey team, it seems. Just to show how much of a bogey team they are, this is only the 6th time under Pep Guardiola that Manchester City have trailed a Premier League game at home by 2 goals at halftime. Tottenham are now responsible for 3 of 6 of those games, for 50% of those L's. And they were the last 3 teams to do that out of the last 4 games that this happened. Since the start of last season under Maresca, Chelsea have picked up more points in the Premier League, London derbies, than any other side. They've played 14, won 7, drawn 5, and lost 2. At 18 years and 120 days, Estevao was the youngest player in the Premier League history for Chelsea to have an assist. Paqueta is only the 3rd player to score West Ham's first goal of a Premier League campaign in 2 consecutive seasons. Paulo Di Canio did it in 00-01 and 01-02, and McNoble did it in 09-10 and 10-11. Barry is an Everton player. He is officially the 250th different French player to play in the Premier League. The most selected player this week was Mr. Cole Palmer. The most captained was Mo Salah. Most vice-captained was Palmer. So I'm betting that maybe you had both, and if you didn't have Palmer, I'm hoping that at least Salah was your captain and not Haaland like mine. When it comes to top transfers in this week, Joao Pedro is back amongst the favourites, with 591,000 bringing him in. Semenyo is second with 585,000. Richarlison is third with 450,000 bringing him in. Ekitike brought in by 409,000. Wood brought in by 380,000. As you can see, forwards, 4 out of the 5 are forwards. I'm surprised Ouattara isn't here considering he scored on his debut. Anyway, when it comes to players out, Palmer, over 1 million people have dropped him. Frimpong, 618,000 have dropped him. Saka, 470,000 have dropped him. Nouri, 396,000 have dropped him. Wirtz, 338,000 have dropped him. And out of the 5, it's only Wirtz who isn't injured. Now, when it comes to the best team of the week, TikTok Hotelier is number 1. I must also say he has changed his name quite a bit since he was number 1. The kind of person who makes you think time travel really exists. Why the hell did he triple captain Timber? So, triple captain Timber, 72. That is already more than my whole team, including my bench, combined. Anyway, so Raya has 6, Timber has 72, Gabriel has 6, Matty Cash has 2, Wan-Bissaka has 0, Anthony has 13, Cullen has 14, Hannibal has 5. Yes, you heard it correct. He has 3 Burnley players. Salah has 5, Joao Pedro has 15, and Wood has 2. And that gave him a mighty 140 points. It just goes to show that if you look at the last week and this week, his teams just don't make sense. So try to do something different. Now, looking at our 38 weeks to go league, number 1 was manager architect Sadiq S. Suleiman, Gen Z architect. He too played his triple captain. However, he had been hoping that Palmer would take part in the West Ham game. That was his triple captain. As a result, his vice captain took over, which was Hugo Ekitike, who had 27 points. Second was Joao, who gave him 15. Bruno Fernandes gave him 2. Ooh, that missed penalty must have hurt. Johnson gave him 9. Reinders gave him 2. Kukureya gave him 5. Gabriel gave him 6. Digne gave him 2. Milenkovic gave him 2. Konate gave him 0. And Pickford gave him 15. And that gave him 85 points. Second highest was James Dirangu, manager of Lucille Fur, 78 points. Serchivini must go, 77 points. Zo Toure Life, managed by Joe Barasa, 76. And G-Star Glitz, manager of G-Star, 76 points. And that's the top 5 in points this week. So, after the game week, that was game week 1, there were some people who had enough of that. And at the top of that list is Mr. Moses Moshiri, manager of the team called Mo. He made 10 transfers. Gwan Kim Ko made 10 transfers. And reigning leader from last season, Don Clinton, made 8 transfers. Number 4, Okoth Alphonse made 7, and Mike Mbogwa made 6. This is a trend that happens. Don Clinton was the king of this last season. He made the most transfers and he was bottom last, and he wasn't even close. When it comes to changing team value, Ghana's 254 managed by Eliud Njoroge have added 0.3 to the bank, so his team is now valued at 100.3. It's still early days. Let's see how this goes. When it comes to overall rank riser, Nikola Mislinovic has increased 4.9 million positions in rank. That's wild. And in our league, Must Go has jumped 195 positions. Sachivini has done a good job. Well done. 195 is not a joke. When it comes to not so great, Arnoldinho Arnold, manager of Grand Hustle, his team has lost 0.3 million in value. Most decrease in overall rank is Moses Moshiri, manager of Mo. He made 10 transfers. It makes sense. He has gone down 7.3 million positions globally. When it comes to the most points lost on the bench, Cyril Mutahi, manager of Can You Believe It, had 26 points on the bench. And it wasn't too bad, if I'm honest, because Pickford had 15, then Tarkowski had 8, Mitoma 2, and Wilson 1. So basically, Pickford was the big points getter. David Mbogwa had 25 points on the bench along with Angola Nayo Kijane Imama. Number 4 was Papi Chulo, who had 23 points, and number 5 was Oti Omondi, who had 18 points on the bench. When it comes to the least points this week, number 1 is Oliver Almasi, who got the lowest points this week, 21. Verbruggen was his goalkeeper, who gave him 1. Hoover, his defender, never heard of him, from Wolves, gave him 1. De Kuyper from Brighton gave him 0. Pedro Porro gave him 5. Gordon gave him -2. Kudos gave him 3. Reinders gave him 2. Salah gave him 5. Makiyu gave him 1. Haaland gave him 4. And Fulkrug gave him 1. Haaland was his captain because Palmer did not play. And that's how he got 21 points. Number 2 was Kelvin Walker, who had 22 points on the bench along with Hilary Malik. Number 4 was Terence Nigel, who had 25. And in 5th place is a tie between Bode Blachowicz and Chris Maseka, who both had 26 points on the bench. When it comes to the biggest drop in our league, Ayodele Olodune dropped 195 positions this week. When it comes to the team with the most goal scorers, Serge Chivini, manager of Must Go, his attacking force has been great, and they have scored 6 goals. Now, when it comes to manager changes, Pit Stunk FC, managed by Haidar Yassin, got 27 points from the changes that he made. Well done to you, sir. When it comes to captain choices, the most popular captain in our group is still Salah. He was chosen by 62 managers. 27 managers chose Palmer. 24 managers chose Haaland. 23 managers chose Saka. 19 managers chose Gyökeres. 7 managers chose Watkins. 6 geniuses chose Joao Pedro. 5 chose Ekitike. 5 chose Bruno Fernandes. 3 chose Cunha. 2 chose Sesko. 2 chose Reinders. 2 chose Gakpo. Good choice. 2 chose Semenyo. 1 chose Mayenda, Virgil, Raul, Mateta, Baleba, and Rice. Gameweek 3 will be here shortly, just before you know it, so don't worry. If Gameweek 2 wasn't the best, you have another opportunity. The Gameweek begins again with Chelsea. Chelsea will be taking on Fulham. Looking at their most recent 5 encounters against Fulham, Chelsea have won 4 of the 5, and that puts Chelsea in a favorite position. They are coming off a strong performance against West Ham and will be looking to continue. Palmer, Badiashile, Colwill, Kellyman, and Lavia will be unavailable for the game, which means that Joao Pedro has a great chance to perform well again. Neto, another one, and then you could choose somebody random. You could try a defender like Kukurea, or you could say maybe this is Estevao's game. On the other end, Fulham took on Manchester United and drew 1-1. They probably deserve to lose, but it's neither here or there. Should they perform this game, Iwobi, Raul Jimenez, and I guess Emil Smith-Rowe would be the best players to choose. They do not have any missing players. Mr. Robertson is back, as you saw in the last game. Manchester United take on Burnley. Will this be the game where they get their first points? These promoted sides are a bit unpredictable right now. All of them have a victory, so in 2 games, that's 50%. That's just like many Premier League teams at this point. Man United have been playing better. They should be favourites. Bruno Fernandes missed a penalty in the last game, and rumours are that it is still rising. They are favourites for this game. There's no other way around it. Bruno, Cunha, and Fernandes are the 3 best. If you believe in the defense, choose your pick. On the Burnley side, if you believe they'll keep a clean sheet, Esteve and Dubravka are possible shoutouts. Now, going forward, Anthony, Foster, Cullen. I would be honestly surprised if people moved into Burnley, but let's see what happens. The way the season has begun, it is clearly about unpredictability. And also, for the past 2 game weeks, the best performing player has been a defender. So Ballard was last week. This week it was Timber. Might be another defender this week. Sunderland take on Brentford. Sunderland had chances to score against Burnley last week, but they just didn't seem to take them. Ballard got injured early, and I'm not sure if that really was what changed the game for them, but they lost 2-0. Now, they are playing Brentford, who got their first victory of the season. Damsgaard was back, and he changed how that team looked completely. So he is the first person I'm recommending. Him, and then Ouattara, and then Collins. On the Sunderland end, I would say Adingra, Mayenda. Tottenham versus Bournemouth. In their last 5 encounters, there have been 1 draw and 2 wins for each side, which means it's perfectly balanced, and your guess is as good as mine. I would lean towards Tottenham just because they've had the stronger start to the season. Richarlison is looking good, Brennan Johnson is looking inspired, Palhinha has gotten off the mark, a lot of things, and they've kept 2 clean sheets. Do you remember Ange Postecoglou last season? His team could not keep a clean sheet. They've kept 2 clean sheets now. Maybe a 3rd one is in store. Vicario is looking like the best keeper so far. So you have options all across the board. You could go defense, you could say Pedro Porro or Vicario. You could go forward and you could say Richarlison, Kudus, or Brennan Johnson. The choice is yours. For Bournemouth, it's clear that Semenyo is their best player, and so you would have to start with him. And then second would be Evan Nilsson, and then Tavernier. Wolves take on Everton, and their most recent history shows 2 wins for Wolves, 2 draws, and 1 win for Everton. So Wolves have the historical advantage in this fixture. When it comes to recent form, Wolves have been beaten in the opening 2 games of the season. One by Brentford and one by Manchester City. And just like West Ham, it's quite unclear because they've both lost to a weak side and to a strong side. So Wolves are looking kind of like relegation potentials at this point, but I'm not sure if they've reached that West Ham level of bet against them yet. But for this fixture, I would choose Everton, mainly because they saved me last week. Pickford did the business, Ndiaye scored the goal, and Grealish. Honestly, those are the 3 I would pick from this team. And also the new French striker. He's making me look foolish for having Beto in my team, and I am going to remove Beto next week if this trend continues. On the Wolves side, it is still Strand Larsen, Bellegarde, and Gomez. Leeds versus Newcastle. Newcastle have not yet won a game, but they were really inspiring against Liverpool early on Monday. They take on Leeds, who have been hammered by Arsenal recently, and they will be looking just not to lose 5. But honestly, if Newcastle come with that same intensity, I could see them matching that result, even though they don't have the same quality of finishers that Arsenal do, or the set-piece prowess. If you're choosing Newcastle players, I would say Elanga is probably due for something now, Bruno, and a defender. Could be Livramento, it could be Shah, it could be Dunburn, it could be Trippier. Pick the one that has worked for you in the past. After losing 5-0, it's very hard to recommend Leeds players, but I'll give it a go. I would say if you're that devoted Leeds guy, I would say Pirot, Nonto, and maybe Goodmanson or Rodon, one of them. On Sunday, we will see Brighton take on Manchester City. There are 2 draws, 1 victory for Brighton and 2 victories for Manchester City. And of course, the most recent draw and loss came in this last season when Manchester City was shaky. So I'm not sure how much weight we should put into that. But also, Manchester City having lost one of their opening 2 games makes it hard to determine which Manchester City will turn up. And so this will be a good indicator of where they truly are in terms of their rehabilitation. I mean, Pep is back with his wife now, so things should be better. If that is the case, Manchester City should be favorites for this game. Haaland will be number 1. I'm still believing in Reinders. Now that Nouri's out, I wonder who will play. But short of that, I think Haaland, maybe Bob should be the third one. Bob, Reinders, Haaland. And if you believe in the defense, probably Lewis. While Brighton are a bit unpredictable right now, I would say Mitoma, Minte, and Welbeck are your 3 best options. Nottingham Forest versus West Ham. Now, given the way West Ham have begun, it is not encouraging. I'm biased by what I have seen, and I am already in the camp of betting against West Ham. Wood, Ndoye, Hudson-Odoi, Gibbs-White, or 3 defenders. I can't even tell you what to do. However you're already leaning, that's the right answer. However, Wood, Morgan Gibbs-White, I think Ndoye, those are the 3 most consistent players in their first 2 games so far. There's reason to believe that West Ham will be hammered. I've just realized that the pun, which was unintended. If somehow you still have West Ham players, Bowen, Paqueta, and Souček are probably the best. At this point, it is very clear that West Ham will concede goals to anybody. It's just a matter of can they outscore them. And if you believe that they will, Bowen, Paqueta, Souček will be featuring heavily in that. And probably Fulkrug. The marquee game of the season, of the game week, will see Liverpool take on Arsenal at Anfield. Liverpool had a late victory, and the game was much more difficult than it should have been considering they were playing 10 men. Arsenal, on the other hand, had a very easy game, winning 5-0. And this will sort of tell you who the early season favorites are. Unfortunately, Odegaard and Saka picked up injuries. Along with Havertz, Jesus, and Ben White, they will be unavailable. McAllister, Frimpong, and Bayetic are unavailable for Liverpool. In their recent 5 fixtures, there have been 2 draws, which have been 2-2 each. Liverpool have won 2, and Arsenal have won 1. Both teams have an 100% start to the season, so something will give in this encounter. Now, I'm very skeptical about Salah right now. He has performed in both games, but out of nothing almost. And honestly, I think their greatest strength is on the other side of the pitch, where he isn't. gwk2 and Gakpo seem to be where the action is right now. Of course, we've always doubted Salah, but somehow he still ends up with over 200 points, and he's still performing, he's still getting results. So if you're going to be in Liverpool, you get Salah, Ekitike, Gakpo. If you're getting Arsenal players, I guess Gyökeres, now that Saka is down, maybe Trossard, or maybe Madueke. And if you think Timber is going to deliver another 24 points, go for it. Who knows? Who knows? Anything can happen. Calafiori has been doing well so far, so why not? Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. This game will see Garcia, Camara, and Barkley unavailable for Aston Villa, while Porter, Ria, Doucouré, Kamada, and Ketia are unavailable for Crystal Palace. Eze has been sold and he is no longer there, and Gay might be gone by the time this match comes, so who knows the actual lineup that will be present in the game, and that will affect the performance of both teams. Aston Villa are unable to sign people because of the rules, the financial rules. So that's why they're looking particularly toothless. Emery has a good job on his hands. I mean, a tough job on his hands. It will be interesting to see what happens. I'm hoping that they can get some loans in or maybe find gems in their youth team or something because they need an injection of life. When I look at Crystal Palace, it's easy to recommend players. It starts with Mateta, then it goes to Ismail Assar, and then Munoz. Those are the three I would recommend from that team. If you're looking at Aston Villa, I would say Watkins, Mr. Rogers, and that's it. That's it. I won't go beyond that. But if you have to choose a third, Tillemans. Their head-to-head has Crystal Palace winning 4 of their last 5 encounters. And honestly, I am banking on them to continue with that. At least until I think of Aston Villa as a better West Ham, which isn't saying much. You can't bet against them, but you also can't expect much from them. And with that, our game week will be done. Looking at the FPL FDR, Arsenal take on Liverpool, Forest, City, and Newcastle, followed by West Ham. I'm still holding strong that I won't bring Arsenal players until the Newcastle game is done. That is the toughest fixtures of everybody. But carry on. They've started well. There's no reason to believe they won't continue. Aston Villa have Crystal Palace, Everton, Sunderland, Fulham, and Burnley. So in theory, if Aston Villa were performing better, these would be a great run of fixtures. However, this is still an opportunity for them to get results, to get them into form. Bournemouth have Tottenham, Brighton, Newcastle, Leeds, and Fulham. These are all winnable fixtures for them. Brentford have Sunderland, Chelsea, Fulham, Man United, and Man City. So their games are going to get a bit difficult, and I still don't know who Brentford are, but with Damsgaard Park, they look much, much better. Brighton have Man City, Bournemouth, Tottenham, Chelsea, and Wolves. This is a mixed bag. They haven't had the best start to the season, and I think these are the kind of fixtures that don't help that. It's the kind of thing where at game week 6, where we'll be looking and thinking, do they need a new manager? Or maybe their manager is a genius. Brighton are just that unpredictable. Finally, have Man United, Liverpool, Forest, Man City, and Villa. Absolutely difficult fixtures. Honestly, if they get a draw in any of these, I'd be pleasantly surprised. Chelsea have Fulham, Brentford, Man United, Brighton, and Liverpool. Honestly, these are all winnable fixtures. They could honestly win the next ones. But Chelsea are Chelsea. Let's wait and see. But these are kind fixtures for them. Crystal Palace have Aston Villa, Sunderland, West Ham, Liverpool, and Everton. I think they could win 3 out of those 5. Lose 1, draw 1. Yeah. Everton have Wolves, Aston Villa, Liverpool, West Ham, and Crystal Palace. Outside Liverpool, all of these games are winnable for them. And if Grealish plays the way he's been playing, count your points already. Fulham have Chelsea, Leeds, Brentford, Aston Villa, and Bournemouth. After Chelsea, 3 out of the 5 are winnable. Leeds have Newcastle, Fulham, Wolves, Bournemouth, and Tottenham. Much kinder fixtures than the Burnley ones. After Newcastle, I think they can win 2 out of 4. Which 2? We'll find out. Liverpool have Arsenal, Burnley, Everton, Crystal Palace, and Chelsea. I think after the Arsenal game, I need to think about Ekitike and Gakpo more seriously. Man City have Brighton, United, Arsenal, Burnley, and Brentford. I think that Burnley game is where my Haaland triple captain might be. Now, Man City, we don't know who they are yet. In theory, at least 4 of these games they can win. The Arsenal game will be tricky. Arsenal have become much better at handling them, so that game will be tricky, but the rest they should win. Man United have Burnley, Man City, Chelsea, Brentford, and Sunderland. These are mostly, at least 3 out of the 5 are winnable fixtures. Newcastle have Leeds, Wolves, Bournemouth, Arsenal, and Forest. Honestly, 3 out of those 5, no contest they should win. 2 are tricky. Forest have West Ham, Arsenal, Burnley, Sunderland, and Newcastle. Goodness, that is a great fixture run. Wow. 3 of those 5 are absolute wins. Absolute. They should win them with no doubt. 100%. Interesting. Spurs have Bournemouth, West Ham, Brighton, Wolves, and Leeds. Honestly, If they keep up the form that they have started with, they can win these 5 games. Sunderland have Brentford, Crystal Palace, Villa, Forest, Man United. After the second game, a loss to a promoted side, it has now put their status in questions like, who are they really? And I guess these next few fixtures will show us who their peers are and who they aren't, I guess. Then West Ham have Forest, Spurs, Crystal Palace, Everton, and Arsenal. The thing about it is, they should be competitive in these fixtures. But, they are so bad right now. Maybe if they get a result against Forest, maybe then I'll be able to see them getting a result elsewhere. But I can honestly see them losing 4 out of 5. Steer clear of their players. Wolves have Everton, Newcastle, Leeds, Spurs, and Brighton. Honestly, I'm worried for Wolves. I wouldn't enter their games right now. I can only see them getting 2 out of 5 results in their next 5. When it comes to captain choices, starting off with Chelsea versus Fulham, honestly, Joao Pedro is a good shout. Man United versus Burnley. The fixture looks kind, but I wouldn't jump into a captaincy. But if you will, which I know you Manchester United fans will do, you have Cunha, you have Mbeumo, and you have Bruno. If Bruno missing a penalty wasn't bad enough for you, then switch. Spurs, you have Brennan Johnson, for me would be my favourite. And then followed by Semenyo, and then Richarlison. Sunderland versus Brentford, Ouattara is my captain choice in that game. Or Damsgaard. Wolves versus Everton, honestly, Jack Grealish and maybe Ndiaye. Leeds versus Newcastle. If you can figure out who will score for Newcastle, that is the right person. It could be not Anthony Gordon, but Elanga. It could be Harvey Barnes. It could be Jacob Murphy should he start. It's honestly, actually, don't choose a captain from this game. Brighton versus Man City, Haaland, Mitoma. Forest, this is where you should be looking for your captain. You have to figure out whether you want it to be Ndoye, Wood, or Gibbs. This is a fixture captain. This is where your captain should come from. Liverpool versus Arsenal. If you want to go with current form, you should go for Gyökeres, Ekitike, I guess Salah, and Gakpo. Aston Villa versus Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace have the upper hand in this fixture. Sarr could be a good candidate, or Mateta. If you're still believing in Villa, then Watkins or Rodgers should be your captain choice. And with that, we have come to the end of the podcast. Now, we have many, many weeks left to go. When these random triple captainers disappear, we will be fine. Just steady and focus. Remain steady and focused, and you will get there. Otherwise, have a good remainder of your week. Bye.